Hi, this is Alessio. Hope you're well. In this video, we're going to talk about the chart of the market that knows all, the market that knows everything. And what is this potentially going to tell us about the future? And is this chart warning us about something? And also, what are the potential implications for inflation in the near future based on the chart of the market that knows everything? All right, guys, join me. All right, guys, welcome back. First of all, before I start this video, I want to wish you a very happy new year. I hope you had a great Christmas, by the way, as well. As you probably saw from my previous video, I'm currently in Florida, in the Palm Coast region of Florida. So what I want to talk about in this specific video is the chart of the market that knows everything, the market that knows all. And if you've seen my previous videos, you probably know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the bond market. Now, first of all, why do we say the bond market knows everything? Well, two reasons. Firstly, because bonds are not traded by the average person. Most people are interested at trading, for example, stock markets, or could be, for example, Bitcoin, crypto, things like that. So those are what most people, the average person, is interested in. Bonds, however, the bond market is usually traded by institutions. So because of that, it's important to pay attention to what's happening to bonds, because usually the big money institutions are trading that market, again, the bond market. The second reason why you need to pay attention to bonds and why it's called the chart of the market that knows everything is because of the correlation between bonds and inflation. So for example, when bonds are going down, when bonds are trending down as they have been for most of 2022 and the previous years, well, a falling bond market means that the big institutions, the big money out there, believes that inflation is still a threat. However, when bonds are trending up, so when bonds are rallying higher and trending upwards, it means that the big institutions are betting that inflation is less of a threat, that perhaps disinflation is more of a threat. Now, as I'm sure you probably know, the Federal Reserve has been desperately trying to bring inflation under control and tame it. The recent CPI reports seems to show that it's been working, and in fact we can see that there has been a drop in inflation according to this chart and data. But the important point is, what does the market that knows everything, the market that knows all, what does that think? Well, that's why we look at the chart of bonds, because bonds can give us important clues about whether inflation is finally peaking or not. So let's take a look at the chart of TLT, the 20-year treasuries, and we can see after a significant drop that we saw again, for most of 2022 and the year before that, severe downtrend where bonds fell quite considerably, as you can see here. Finally, it seems that bonds dropped to an important low and they bounced and rallied quite significantly, as you can see there. In fact, bonds for the last several months have rallied more than 3%. And after a nice rally in bonds, we've seen now a pullback, a drop. The important point is this, that according to what's called the Dow theory, and by the way, I'm going to give credit to my good friend Manuel Bly of the dowtheory.com. Now, according to the Dow theory methodology, if TLT manages to rally now and go above its recent highs, the recent high made just near 110, so if bonds managed to rally and go above 110 and close above that level, that actually could constitute a major bullish signal for bonds. By the way, I should add that Manuel Bly also likes to combine bonds, TLT, with IEF, which is the 7 to 10 year treasuries. He likes to see both of those confirm, in other words, a reversal for the Dow theory. But again, just keeping it simple, we could just look at the chart of TLT if you like, and again, just simplify it in this way. So in other words, if the chart of bonds, the 20-year treasuries, managed to get above this level you see on the chart at about 110 and close above that, it could signify a bullish reversal for bonds. In other words, it could be a very high probability that bonds have reversed direction and bottomed for the next several months going to the end of 2023. Now, if TLT does manage to do that, if TLT does manage to give us a bullish signal by closing above the 110 resistance level, then that actually would be not only a bullish sign for bonds, but also an early indication, a very strong early indication that inflation has peaked and that we could see more disinflation going to, again, the rest of 2023. So in other words, if the bond market gives us a very bullish signal by closing above the $110 level resistance, it would be the first important sign that inflation has peaked and we could see falling inflation and in other words, disinflation as we head into 2023. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, no, that can't be right. Surely we're in a period of just rising inflation, out of control inflation, or permanent inflation. Some of you may be thinking like, the 1970s, where we had just out of control inflation. However, guys, if you remember, and I've mentioned this before, even in the 70s, we had a period of disinflation, falling inflation, even though we generally had rising inflation. If you look at this chart over here, you'll notice that even though it is true that 1970s was a period of rising inflation, nevertheless, we had a period, and I think it was between 1973 and 1974, where we had a period of disinflation, falling inflation. So there is often a reversion to the mean, a drop back to the averages, back to the mean. And it could be that's what we're going to experience soon, again, this coming year of 2023. But let's wait for the bond market to confirm that. So I'm going to be patient and wait and see if the bond market can finally give us a confirmation of a bullish reversal, which again would increase the probability of falling inflation for 2023, which I think would be great news for all of us, by the way. Thank you very much indeed, guys. I look forward to seeing the next video update.